For local news, traffic, weather, sports, and music, WLAF.
This is 1450 WLAF.
FM translator W230DC.
And FM translator W265BQ. La Follette, Tennessee, USA. Where it's now time for CBS Radio News.
This newscast brought to you by locally owned and operated La Follette Monuments. 423-562-1880. 562-1880. La Follette Monuments, near the high school on the 4-lane.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by Progressive Insurance.
I'm Cammie McCormick. Severe weather is sweeping across the eastern part of the country after days of extreme heat. Christopher Cruz reports.
3 to 4 inches of rain fell northeast of Baltimore this afternoon. About 10 miles north of the city, along U.S. Route 40, this man's car was swamped.
I've never seen it like this before. Okay. And so I figured it was safe to come out. And once I came across that railroad track and got here, I figured I could keep going, but I couldn't.
Flash flood warnings are in place for parts of New York City, New Jersey, and Philadelphia. States of emergency have been declared in New Jersey and New York City. Christopher Cruz, CBS News, Washington.
In Texas, lawmakers held a hearing on the deadly July 4th floods. Chris Fox has that.
William Thomas is the emergency management coordinator for Kerr County. He told Texas state lawmakers at the time of the flooding he was sick in bed.
I was awakened around 5:30 a.m. on July the 4th by my wife, following a call from the City of Kerrville EMC requesting that I mobilize.
By that time, Camp Mystic was already underwater. Texas Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick also called out Kerr County Judge Rob Kelly for his immediate response.
I don't know where you were on day one on July 4th, but you should have been here. You should have been here directing that response.
Chris Fox for CBS News, Austin.
The president is dispatching his Mideast envoy to Gaza tomorrow. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt.
Tomorrow, Special Envoy Witkoff and Ambassador Huckabee will be traveling into Gaza to inspect the current distribution sites and secure a plan to deliver more food and meet with local Gazans to hear firsthand about this dire situation on the ground.
CBS's Deborah Patta.
Life expectancy has reportedly fallen by 35 years. Gaza has the highest number of child deaths of any conflict zone, and the report concludes starvation has been relentlessly used as a weapon of war.
The deadline to make a trade deal with the U.S. is midnight tonight. CBS's Jill Schlesinger on what we can expect.
Now it seems that we're settling at a 15% tariff rate with some, I would say, hazy details on how those countries will be investing in the United States, different for each country.
The U.S. Treasury says this country has already taken in $87 billion from the tariffs. Correspondent Nancy Cordes is at the White House.
Revenue is increasing. It is coming in. It's going to the U.S. Treasury. And the president has even floated the possibility of sending rebate checks to Americans.
On Wall Street, investors were following the latest tariff developments, and stocks finished lower. This is CBS News.
California girls love. Some people like to make a little fun of the way I talk.
And welcome into the Truly Nolan Studios at WLAF. Jake Miller alongside you for the next 2 hours. Jake Miller Sports Talk. 1450 AM, 100.9 FM. We are glad to be with you today. We got a huge show coming up. We're going to be talking about the impacts of NIL on college sports. And, I've got Clayton Carroll in here with me. I've got a couple of guys that are going to be coming on with us. We got Tucker Harlan from Vols Wire coming up here in about 20 minutes. And we're going to be talking a lot about how this has impacted college sports, what the impact is going to be going forward, because in all honesty, we're not really sure what's going on with college sports and NIL. Tennessee's having to deal with it right now. The situation with Boo Carter, that's going to be talked about with Tucker coming up here in about 20 minutes. And everything else that's going on, you just have to sit back and you have to wonder, what in the world is college sports going to look like 5 years down the road? We had talked about this a little bit last week when I did my interview with Charlotte. And she was like, well, you're right. There is no Cinderella story anymore. We saw that with March Madness this past year. And unfortunately, I don't think we're going to get that much anymore. We're not going to get that at all. Because when you look at what happened, it's like, okay, who's the Cinderella going into the Sweet 16? Well, there's not one. Well, what about the Elite Eight? Well, there's not one either. So what is college football going to look like? We have the situation with Boo Carter right now. It's like, is he going to transfer out? Everyone's wondering, it's like, is he going to transfer to Colorado? Is he going to go to UCLA? Well, then you take a step back and look. It's like, well, he can't do that right now. That transfer window is closed. So there is absolutely no way that he's not going to be at least on the Tennessee roster for the fall. Now, having said that, now that he has set some bridges on fire, so to speak, what are we going to do? What is Tennessee going to do with Boo Carter? What is Tennessee going to do as far as NIL goes? Is it pay to play? Or is it marketing? Are these companies using these athletes for marketing? Because if that is the case, everything's all good, right? You would think. But then you're getting contracts, essentially, in this. But what are the contracts? What do they state? What is happening? So then you look at it from this perspective. Local Knoxville company wants to give a player $100,000 per se to, quote unquote, make a few ads for them. Post on Twitter twice a week, twice a month, whatever it may be. Everything's all good. Well, then what happens the next year? What did we see during the Ohio State debacle? Hey, you only paid me for 12 games. I want more money. I want more money. What happened to the $100,000 that we gave you? Well, it wasn't enough. And in other words, they probably spent all the money that they made from August to November, $100,000 in 4 months. I sound like Dave Ramsey right now, and I'm well aware of that. We're not going to go on a Dave Ramsey rant, but just to break down, what this is like, especially in the Nico Iamaleava situation. You have a guy that comes to Tennessee on a quote-unquote $8 million deal. And the first thing we see is we see Nico, we see Josh Heupel, and we see Alex Golesh driving a Mercedes G-Wagon through the tunnel at Neyland Stadium with Nico hanging out the sunroof. It's like, all right, that's our quarterback for the next 4 years. So we thought. It's like, we pay him all this money. We basically give him the G-Wagon, essentially. I think that was a part of the deal. And then we're sitting there 2 years later at Ohio State, and it's like, well, we want more money. What happened to the $4 million that we've already gave you, supposedly? I don't know if that's exactly how much we gave him. I know he was given some to commit to Tennessee, and we all know that's how this is working. But then you look at it from the perspective of, okay, where's all this money going? And then we see the moving van all of a sudden out in front of his parents' house here in Knoxville. A couple weeks later, it's like, okay, yeah, he's not our quarterback, and he's not going to be our quarterback anymore, and we don't know where he is going. So insert the quarterback drama that we have right now. We have Joey Aguilar. We also have Jake Merklinger. Oh, by the way, there's this freshman in town. Are we going to see the Mac attack? We don't know. We have no earthly idea what we're going to get. We're going to be talking with Tucker about that as well. The quarterback drama. Oh my goodness. What in the world? I'm sitting here and I'm just thinking to myself, and I can't help but think, and Clayton, you can agree with this too. If you look at the situation now as it stands, we have a two-way tie for QB1 right now. And I have nothing bad to say about Joey. I have nothing bad to say about Merklinger. Nobody really knows what is happening right now in the quarterback situation, and we're very confused as to what is going to happen. Who are we going to see at QB1 when we go to play Syracuse on August the 31st down in Atlanta? Clayton, your thoughts?
Yeah, there we go. I'm kind of same thing as you were thinking. Like, we've seen Joey do more of the PR stuff, but we don't have a clear answer. So, do we see both? Do we see maybe Joey come out first three drives? Then maybe we see Merklinger come in, or I don't really know. If my gut is telling me Joey, but I don't know. And we don't know an answer, like you said.
And that's the thing. And, the one thing I will say about Joey, and the one thing that I really like, and you'll find out I'm really big on uniforms. I'm really big on how stuff looks on a player.
Oh, yeah.
Number 6 just looks really good on a quarterback.
That is true. That is true.
University of Tennessee. That goes back, all the way to the 80s. And, the one thing that's going to come to mind when you see number 6 on quarterback, a lot of people are going to think back to the 1994 year in which Brandon Stewart comes out, and there's a quarterback battle between him and Peyton Manning that we weren't even expecting. We had Colquitt, who had started the year at UCLA, gets hurt after the first drive, insert Peyton Manning for 3 plays, and then all of a sudden, that's all we see of Peyton Manning that game. Well, at Mississippi State, we put in Todd Helton. Todd Helton goes out there. Todd Helton gets hurt. It's like, okay, is it going to be Peyton? Is it going to be Brandon? There's people like Peyton. There's people like Brandon Stewart. And it's going to be, one or the other. Well, ultimately, it ends up being Peyton Manning, and he ends up being one of the greatest quarterbacks, not only in the history of Tennessee football or the Southeastern Conference, but college football as a whole. And basically makes himself a legend. He's still a household name. There's people that, never even got to watch him play in the pros that know who Peyton Manning is. The Michael Jordan effect. It's like you might not know, or you might not have got to see Michael Jordan play. Unfortunately for me, I got to catch when he was with the Washington Wizards, and that was not prime Michael Jordan. He still made some good plays, but it wasn't the same Michael Jordan that everybody else got to watch. But everybody knows who Michael Jordan is. Everybody knows who Peyton Manning is, and Tom Brady, and so. But we're looking at this, and I'm not trying to say that we're going to have the next greatest quarterback of all time coming out of this, but at the same time, you have to wonder. It's like there's some similarities there.
There is, and you mentioned the Peyton Manning story. 1, got robbed of the Heisman. Let's just state that.
Shout out to ESPN.
Yeah, and 2, my dad. He's every quarterback that we have seen since Peyton Manning. He's like, man, he's good, but he's just not Peyton. And I wish I got to grow up watching Peyton Manning, hearing John Ward. Love Bob Kessling, just phenomenal. Met him, great guy. But there's always, you've got Peyton Manning and just kind of that legacy he brings. Like, I mean, he is known by just about everybody in the state. Even if the kid's 3 years old or they're 30 years old, they know Peyton Manning and they've watched his highlights or whatever the case may be. And he just got that legacy factor to him.
It's all about the number 16. You see it on jerseys. Everybody's wearing a 16 jersey. If you own a Tennessee jersey, chances are it's the number 16. Whether that jersey is orange, whether it's white, black, gray, or whatever we're doing now with the alternate uniforms that we have this year.
Yeah.
And then there's also the talk of, Tennessee maybe switching back to Adidas, which I'm honestly a fan of. Everyone thought that everything was going to be so much better when we had Nike. It's like Nike's coming in, we're going to get fresh uniforms, fresh fan apparel, because at the time Adidas's fan apparel was terrible.
Yeah, and Nike's was too the first couple of years.
It was, and it's improved a little bit, but it's almost like too little too late. And, the thing with Nike is that they essentially wanted to make Tennessee the Oregon of the South. Number one, that was never going to happen. We're a traditional school. We know what we're supposed to look like, and we're going to go out and play the way that we should. Even though we did not do that for a decade, from 2008 essentially to 2000, and you can even argue 12 years, because we didn't really see a whole lot of hype. We saw a little bit of a jolt, I guess you could say, with Butch Jones through the back half of 2015 and into the first part of 2016. But after that, you're not really getting anything until you reach 2021. And it wasn't even through the first few games. We come out against Bowling Green and we see Joe Milton, and he's got this cannon of an arm. An absolute howitzer for a cannon on his right arm, and he just slings it. And I never will forget this. I think it was actually Ramel Keaton that he was throwing the ball to. And I'm sitting in the north end zone, and I'm watching this ball, and it's just going, and it's going. I'm like, is this thing ever going to come down? It's like, this is so much better than what we had. And then, of course, he gets hurt. Insert Hendon Hooker. And I think it was the Missouri game that year. It was after Florida, which we saw some flashes in Florida. But Missouri is when you really open up the playbook. You really get everything going. And then all of a sudden, it's like, okay, we have something. Can we repeat that the next week? And he comes out against South Carolina. He does the exact same thing. And then Ole Miss happens. And regardless of what happened at the end of the game, that was probably, I would say, the staple game for Josh Heupel. Even though we lost that game, you look at that game, when is the last time before that game that you can remember there being a fight for tickets? Like, you're scrambling to get tickets. You're going to pay whatever price it is. That game basically killed the Ball Pass for those that don't have season tickets. You basically kill it at that point. No more $300 a year. You're going to pay. You're going to pay to watch this team.
Yeah.
And now we've developed this culture at Tennessee. It's like, okay, listen, here's how we're going to play. We're going to be exciting. We're not going to play Jeremy Pruitt football. We're going to have a little fun with the uniforms. We're going to put the stripe back on the pants, and we're going to look like Tennessee football is supposed to look. Clayton, would you say that is the turning point?
I would agree with that. I definitely think that 2021 season, because like you said, before that we'd been boring. and that you mentioned the jerseys, Pruitt never broke out the orange pants, I don't think. Maybe once. Never broke them out. Maybe he did one time at Kentucky. Maybe.
He broke them out. He broke them out at Kentucky, but the first time he ever wanted to break them out was actually against Mississippi State at home, I think is what it was.
Oh, I do remember that.
And this was so bad. And I know one of the assistant coaches from that time, he and I, still talk from time to time. And I was like, so what was that like? Like getting him to, someone to convince him, hey, let these guys wear the orange pants. Well, Jeremy Pruitt is with Roger Frazier, and he's like, well, Roger, do we have him? And Roger's like, yeah, we've had him for 2 years. What are you talking about? Like, we've had these for years. And then that's what finally got that going, which I'm not a fan of the orange pants either. I'm, stormtroopers on the road and orange and white at home.
We never win in the orange pants on the road, it feels like, ever.
We don't.
No, we don't win on the road.
They don't look good.
Yeah, no.
That's all it is. They just do not look good. Not a fan. And other people might disagree with that, and that's okay. Everybody's got their own opinion on, how we should look. I'm a fan of the traditional block style numbers. I don't like the Nike font.
Do you like the black outline?
I do like the black outline on the white jerseys.
Oh, me too. That's another thing my dad's like, bring back the black outline. And you mentioned the 21 season. I think for me, we got a new coach. Okay, cool. We play Bowling Green. We saw more than 30 points on the scoreboard. I'm like, what? What is this? Like this, it was so crazy to thought of me that we could actually score points and have fun. And I was like, okay, I might like this guy. Then we play Pitt, lose to him, but it was close.
Right.
And then you mentioned we show that flash, and then that Missouri game, we were driving to Knoxville that day, and I was watching it on my phone. I was just sitting in the back seat laughing just because of how much fun it was to watch the game. Touchdown after touchdown, and we hit 60. I hadn't seen that for, most of the years of my life. I didn't know we could do that.
It's like the Derek Dooley game against Missouri where we scored 60 points and still lost. Those were best offense we'd ever had, the worst defense we'd ever had.
Oh gosh, didn't we give up like 40 points to Troy that year or something crazy like that?
I don't want to talk about that game. I was at that game. That was one of the worst experiences I've ever had at Neyland Stadium in my entire life. That was the first time I'd ever left knowing that we won the game, but in all honesty, was it a moral loss? Like, that was more so, because we hear about moral victories all the time. That was a moral loss, in my opinion, because you should not give up that many points to Troy.
No.
Tyler Brace set a school record. I think it might even be an NCAA record that game. He threw the ball all over the place, broke Peyton Manning's record, and we're sitting here. It was definitely not an NCAA record. That's 1,000 yards that Houston put up against SMU after the death penalty, but definitely a Tennessee record, and that was the worst time I'd ever had at a Tennessee football game my entire life.
I didn't attend this game, but I kind of felt that way with the Austin Peay game a couple years ago. We won, but did we? It was one of those games. Joe, I felt like just about every other pass was dropped. It was just one of those games. I was actually at a wedding that game, and I was watching the game. I'm like, okay, we going to start scoring here? And it was just a one of those games. We won, but
did we?
Yeah, did we?
But did we? When we return, we're going to be talking with Tucker Harlan from Ballswire, one of the beat writers over there. Stay with us. Jake Miller Sports Talk continues right here on WLAF.
This is the home team, AM 1450.
Take a lively companion wherever you go. Take a portable radio.
WLAF, La Follette.
Carson's working with you now.
Oh, I thought his name was Claxton.
Charleston, that's his name, ain't it?
No. No, it is not.
Is it Charlie?
His name was Tommy.
Hey, tune in Saturday mornings for Carlson. Carlson?
I believe his name's Cornelius or something like that.
I thought his name was Charles.
I think his name's Bershaw.
I always called him Tommy.
I thought his name was Clinton.
Pretty sure it's Clifford Clayton.
It's not even worth trying to correct it anymore. My real name is Clayton Carroll, and I'll be taking your song requests on Saturday mornings from 7 until 9 a.m. right here on the old radio station, WLAF.
Clayton.
Don't touch that dial, don't change the channel on your TV remote, and don't close the tab on your phone. You're listening to WLAF, AM, FM, TV, and .com.
As you know, Casey Kasem has unlocked the American Top 40 vaults and is replaying original shows from the 70s. This week, Casey takes you back to August 6th, 1977. That's when the Commodores were easy. James Taylor was a handyman. Steve Miller boarded a jet airliner, and Johnny Rivers was swaying to the music. You'll hear those songs and all the top 40 hits from August 6th, 1977, right here on American Top 40, the 70s. Saturday night at 7 on FM 100.9 WLAF.
Jake Miller Sports Talk is taking your calls and listening to you every Thursday at 6 p.m. over WLAF. Hi, this is former Cougar Jake Miller inviting you to join me for 2 hours of talking Tennessee Vols, Campbell County Cougars, and beyond. See you at 6 p.m. on WLAF.
The secret side of me, I never let you see. I keep it caged, but I can't control it. So stay away from me, the beast is ugly. I feel the rage and I just can't hold it. It's scratching on the walls, in the closet and the halls.
Back here on WLAF, Jake Miller Sports Talk. Pleased to be joined by our guest, Tucker Harlan of Volswire. Tucker, how are we doing today, sir?
What is I take the snake?
Tucker!
Man, I'm doing really well. I am looking forward to football season. Getting really, really itchy just for that time of year. We're getting into the dog days of summer is what I'm trying to say, and I've been missing it for too long. Too much talking going on. Just ready to see them put on the pads, get on the field, and we're going to see a little bit of it tonight with the Hall of Fame game. And by the way, Hendon Hooker playing in that game too, so that should be a fun watch. But yeah, just really getting ready for football season, man.
And I was telling some of the younger guys here, it's so weird in sports radio, because some people are like, well, what do you talk about after college baseball's over? Because before before Tony Vitello, we didn't even have anything to talk about from March on. We just filled it with whatever we could. And now it's like, okay, well, we got baseball to tie us in until, the middle of January, in the middle of June. And it's like, what do you do after that? You basically go on, you talk about Charlie's Pizza, you talk about your favorite food. That's exactly what you do. But now we're getting into the point in which we can actually start to talk football again and start to be serious about it. And Tucker, some of the serious things that are happening over at Tennessee right now, you have to look at the situation with Boo Carter. You have to look at the quarterback situation. There's a lot of moving parts, a lot of moving pieces. But the situation with Boo Carter has really got the attention of everybody really for the past couple of weeks. And just want to know what you're hearing and exactly how is the best way to explain this situation to somebody that has not been paying attention over the last 2 weeks?
Yeah, so basically he has been absent of a lot of team activities here recently, just not showing up for them. And some of them sound voluntary, but I think some others are not. And I think that has bothered some of the staff and also some of the team personnel, players, what have you. So, and this appears to be over money. There are some issues with agents, I believe. There was an unknown transfer of agents, like his old agent was not notified that he had switched over to Omar Cooper, who is, for all of you NBA fans out there, the guy that reps Ace Bailey, who had him hold out basically the night he got drafted, which
oh goodness,
he's just a crazy thing to do, man. But he, it sounds as if he is going to play this season, but essentially he is going to have to go through some other stuff before he gets, before he straps up back in the pads, because it just sounds like there is some discontent, but what else is he going to do at this point? He's going to have to play if he wants to get any kind of money this season.
Well, and you look back at the Jeremy Banks situation, when Jeremy Pruitt was here, it's like, hey, man, if you want to be back on the team, or even Jawan Jennings, it's like, if you want to get back on this team, there are certain things that you have to do in order to prove it's like, hey, I'm loyal to the University of Tennessee. I am loyal to you as my head coach. What in the world is going on there? I just think of that situation and I hone in on it because it reminds me so much of that situation. And, I compared him to Jansen Jackson in a way back when Jansen was in college and he got in all that trouble here. And it's like, what are we doing? Now, granted, Boo has not done anything to that extent, but it's reminding you of those things. It's reminding you of the Jeremy Banks. It's reminding you of the Jawan Jennings. But it's like, what do we do now? Like, who is going to be back in that secondary, and can we rely on him to be back there?
Yeah. And there's a few different things that you have to think about with this situation. I don't think anybody is really free of blame here. Obviously, Boo being immature is a big part of it. But also, too, Heupel is the one that is out there recruiting these kids right now. And I mentioned this the other night on my show, Tennessee at the Voice of College Football. But he sees the good in these people as opposed to the red flags, which I do think can be problematic in some instances. Like, for example, this one and Nico. So, ultimately he's the one recruiting them. But also, too, you're at a point now in college athletics where you're beginning to see a lot of these coaches give up their head coaching jobs for coordinator jobs, whether or not that's in the NFL or in college. So that is a concerning trend. And honestly, these coaches shouldn't have to deal with this, which is why I think it's just so bizarre to me that Tennessee is this leader in the new world of college athletics and in terms of just, getting, just in court, with the logos on the field and the entertainment district and all that fun stuff. But they've yet to hire a GM to oversee the football program. And I think that is something that if you do, you take a lot of, things off of Josh Heupel's plate that he doesn't really want to have to worry about, and you can let somebody else deal with all that stuff because, that's two situations now that have been really messy. And I guess Mike Matthews had something to a little bit of a lesser extent back in December, but, if you hire a GM, you can fix a lot of those issues.
Absolutely. And, you look at this, and I think the best example that anyone can give heading into this season, if you want to know what a school looks like that has a GM, like a school that has it dialed in, and like you just mentioned, head coaches that are becoming coordinators, you look at Ohio State. Unfortunately, that's still a sore subject, still a sore topic of conversation with, people around the Knoxville area and people that are Tennessee fans all across the country. But, you look at how Ohio State has it dialed in and look at what it has done for them.
Yeah. And you're seeing it in other places, too, because Bama was one of the first ones to hire one. Most notably, I think Andrew Luck at Stanford, because he went out and hired his old coach, Frank Reich, to be their next coach. Not to say that, GM should have that kind of power as opposed to athletics directors. And then, of course, Oklahoma had a notable one this offseason with Jim Nagy. So, it's a trend that I think as NIL begins to evolve, you're going to need to see more teams do this just because I think it's going to be better for these head coaches in the long run.
Absolutely. And we're talking about, Boo Carter and, all of a sudden just a switch of an agent. You mentioned, Ace Bailey, the NBA player that came from Rutgers and was basically like holding out on draft night. And you want to look at him and be like, who do you think you are? It's like, that's not how this works. You don't get to pick and choose who you play for when you're drafted into the NBA. And the same applies to the NFL. It's like, you're going to play where you're drafted. And you look at this and it's like, what he did with Ace Bailey. And, there's got to be some resentment for Ace Bailey right now, wherever he's at. It's like you walk into the locker room, it's like, dude, you don't want to be here. You've made it known that you don't want to be here. Why should we, bring you in as a part of the team? So now you look at Boo Carter's situation. What's that going to look like for him going forward? Are we going to get a situation? Because, we'll call it like it is. Boo Carter is probably going to the NFL. He's a phenomenal talent. He knows how to play the game. He knows what he needs to do, and he contributes in a major, major way. And I tell people, Tucker, that he is the reason that we actually beat Alabama this past year. And it wasn't for an amazing play that he made on the field. It was because he smacked the Alabama player first, and he just didn't get caught. So, we can call that how it is. But, all in all, what's this going to look like for his future going forward? Is there going to be resentment in the locker room with him? Is there going to be resentment from this fan base? Because, as we know, the Tennessee fan base, if you are loved, you are loved, but they can turn on you with a flip of a switch.
Yeah, man, it's hard to say. I don't think I'm supposed to repeat some things, but it does sound like there is some resentment from within right now, and we'll see if that clears up. I'm optimistic that it will. And the fan base, I think, was definitely unhappy at the time. So whether or not there's a suspension or not, we will see. I have noticed that he's been going through warm-ups, the limited portions of practice that you're allowed to see over there without a helmet on. So I don't know if that is indicative of anything. So I guess we'll just see. I guess suspensions are not really supposed to be included on injury reports. So we'll see how Tennessee works that out. I'm sure Josh Heupel will come to a decision pretty soon, but I would bet right now that there is not a suspension of any kind.
Talking with Tucker Harlan from Vols Wire. Tucker, we talk about the defensive side of the ball. Now let's switch over to the offensive side of the ball, in which we are still trying to figure out who our starting quarterback is going to be. I think everyone assumed that it would be Joey Aguilar, considering the circumstances with Nico back in the spring and what happened there. It's like, okay, well, he's committed to UCLA from the transfer portal. Well, then here comes Nico. It's like, oh, well, you're essentially doing a trade, so now we're getting Joey Aguilar in. I think everyone just kind of assumed that he would have the starting job, but from what people have told me, it's like, we got some other candidates behind him as well. Yeah, it's an interesting race, to say the least. It's a story that's been beaten to death in the offseason, understandably. You've got two quarterbacks in there that aren't Joey Aguilar that were very highly touted recruits coming out of high school. The only one that I would say probably doesn't have a shot right now is George McIntyre. I think he's incredibly talented, but he's got the same problem that Nico had when he came in. A little too skinny, and it looks like if you were to go up to him and hug him, you'd be able to snap him in half, which is part of the problem right now. And he's going to get bigger; it'll happen. But that, and then just the fact that he's the least experienced in college ball of all three of those guys, so that leaves Merkwinger and Aguilar. We had Ryan Shumpert of Rocky Top Insider on my show, and he was saying something that actually makes a lot of sense with Jake Merkwinger. It's that he may be the best fit of these three in the Tennessee offense, just because he's a guy that doesn't really feel the need to play hero ball, but also takes care of the football, which is something that the Heupel offenses are known for. We've not seen a quarterback turn it over through the air more than 5 times in the Heupel era at Tennessee. So that's certainly something Jake Merklinger possesses, and that's something Joey Aguilar can get himself in trouble with at times, is trying to be a hero when Tennessee doesn't need him to be. Obviously, I can understand why people are penciling in Joey Aguilar, and right now I would say he's probably my favorite to win the job just because of the experience he has in college. But the truth is, this thing could go a few weeks into the season. Let's say Tennessee either doesn't do well against Syracuse, or you turn it into a blowout and you're playing a couple different quarterbacks there and you like what you see. That could go well into the next week with ETSU being at home. I do think you'll probably have an answer to that question after the Georgia game is through, because Tennessee has enough tough games early in the season to where you should have an answer pretty quickly. So I think we'll know by then. And it is nothing like a Tennessee offseason as to say, who's our quarterback going to be, after you know who the guy is previously, and you might get 1 or 2 years in which, okay, he's our guy. We experienced that. I guess the last time, or the first time that I can remember, is back in the year 2000. For example, you had basically a 3-way or a 4-way battle, and it involved A.J. Suggs, Joey Matthews, and Casey Clausen. Well, nobody realized, it's like, hey, Casey is a gamer. He is going to deliver when it comes to game time. He's going to be the one that delivers, and he ends up being our quarterback for all of 3.5 years. And Casey was great. And then after that, it was like, okay, is it going to be Ainge? Is it going to be Shaper? and then eventually ends up becoming Eric Ainge, and then some of Rick Clausen, which a lot of people don't like to talk about. But at the same time, we had that situation there. Well, then the weirdest one, believe it or not, wasn't actually in 2020 when there was this divide. Is it going to be JG? Is it going to be Harrison Bailey? Whoever else we had on the roster? I think we had JT Shrout and Brian Maurer on the same roster. So it's like, okay, that was just a mess. But I'd say the messiest one, you could even argue, was 2008 when you had Jonathan Crompton start the year, and then all of a sudden everyone sees Nick Stevens play and everyone falls in love with him. Well, then he starts to, tailor off, and then all of a sudden against Vanderbilt we see B.J. Coleman, of all people. So, I mean, this is not anything new to the Tennessee fan base, not knowing who the quarterback's going to be going into the year. But, Tucker, what is your favorite Tennessee quarterback drama coming through the ranks?
Ooh, favorite quarterback drama just of all time?
Yes.
Oh, this is going to be a difficult one because I've seen some contests, and granted I was alive for some of them. Do I remember them really well? Not exactly like those ones that you mentioned. I mean, the first one that I can really remember was the Matt Sims and Tyler Bray year, just vividly. Back in 2010, because of course you had Matt Sims start the year, and Tyler Bray comes in there at the end and finishes strong. Of course, 2014 was a weird year too, that people kind of forget about, because you pencil in Justin Worley going into the year, but I mean we knew, I think, a while back that Worley was probably not going to be the guy. So then Butch Jones is just like, okay, he's not the guy. But Dobbs has got the red shirt on him at that point. So let's just trot out Nathan Peterman, who we know is unbelievably bad against Alabama, and see what happens. And, it's funny because he transferred out of Tennessee and did just fine at Pittsburgh and then showed his true colors again in the NFL. But, you got a few. And here even recently, like Milton and Hooker. Like Joe Milton was the guy going into the Bowling Green game. We all knew that. But then, of course, he gets hurt against Pittsburgh. If he doesn't get hurt against Pittsburgh, I don't know if the Josh Heupel era is where it is right now, because, he
might not even be our head coach if Joe Milton doesn't get hurt.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just like you go back to 2012, we talked about, you mentioned Tyler Bray. If you go back to that 2012 year, and you look at that, if Justin Wilcox does not get hired away and he's still our defensive coordinator instead of Sal Sunseri, who knows where the Derek Dooley years go? Because at that point, it's like you have a defensive coordinator that knows what he's doing, and then you have one of the best offenses in the country, on the other side of the ball. You might win 10 games that year, and Butch Jones never gets hired. You never know.
Yeah, that's interesting now that you say that, because just thinking back to those years, they were rough, obviously. And some of that had to do with injury, like just thinking back to 2011 with, Justin Hunter going down to the Florida game, and then you got Bray going down against Georgia with the broken thumb, and he's out for a while. You look at that offense, what it had to offer, because I guess Rajon Neal was still the running back at that point. You had him and Marlon Lane both, who were nice players.
And then that's when we first saw, I think it was actually Justin Worley that year. I think that's the first year that we saw him, because, you still had Matt Sims on the sideline, who had changed from number 12 to number 2. And then at some point that year, I'm pretty sure Justin Worley passes him up to start over him while Tyler Bray is still hurt. And then poor Matt Sims is coming out on senior day against Vanderbilt acting like the hero, and it's like, oh no, here we go. He's running through the tees, trying to get the crowd fired up. It's like, man, we're ready for you to go on to greener pastures. We appreciate what you've done here, but you're just not the guy for us, essentially, is the vibe that I got from that. But, you are essentially relying on an inexperienced quarterback and Dayrick Rogers and Rajon Neal to lead you that year.
Yeah.
And then you look back in 2020, and it's like, we don't even know. That was the weirdest year of sports that we will ever experience in our entire lives. There is absolutely no way in which a sporting year happens again that was like that. Games getting canceled, players getting sick. So can we even really crown a national champion for 2020 based off of what we know?
Alabama cannot claim a national championship that year.
So essentially, if you look at legitimate championships, they're down to like what, 10, 11 instead of the 18 that they claim.
Yeah.
My goodness. And we've seen this before. I mean, it happens in basketball, it happens in football. But, Tucker, when we look at the situation right now with Tennessee, on both sides of the ball, who do you look to be the standout players?
Ooh. Offense is really difficult, right? Because you really only have one proven commodity in Miles Kitselman. And a lot of people are saying Mike Matthews will be the guy at receiver that really pops off this year. But we don't know that much about him. And, Chris Brazzell was mildly disappointing last year. Some of that could be Nico related. We'll find out later. But, you got the guys that are even younger than them, and Travis Smith and Rodarius Jackson, who I think could ultimately have better careers here at Tennessee if given the opportunity. But if I had to look at a guy right now on the offensive side of the ball, I'd say either Deshaun Bishop or one of the two guards, Wendell Moy or Sam Pendleton, will be your impact players. I know that's kind of boring going with offensive linemen, but, Wendell Moy, I feel like he's less talked about than Sam Pendleton right now, but he only gave up one sack at Arizona in a couple seasons there. He's a very, very good offensive lineman for them, and anything that comes out of Notre Dame that plays offensive line is something to look forward to. So those are who I like on the offensive end. Defensively, it's hard to say because this defense is going to be very good this season again. If it takes a step back, it will be a very minor one. But just looking around, I feel like one of the two linebackers is a good option with Carter or T-Lander. I would probably lean Carter if I were to pick a linebacker. I feel like Jermon McCoy is too obvious an answer, although depending on how the rehab process goes, that could change some things. But right now, I would probably go with Josh Josephs on the defensive line.
I like that. I like that a lot.
He is talented in a similar way to James Pierce. He just kind of fell under Pierce's shadow after a little while. But Tennessee was, really bullish on him coming in. And I think if there is anybody that has a breakout season on the defensive line that's poised to have one, it's probably going to be Josh Josephs.
And that's something, we can really look forward to, especially, on that side of the ball. And I've said this, Tucker, and you've said it with me for years, that anytime that you've got Rodney Garner conducting your defensive line, I mean, it's East Tennessee limestone on that front seven. I mean, it is a rock that is not going to bust, and you are going to get consistency out of the defensive line. And, we saw it with James Pierce. He was a 4-star coming in. And regardless of what happened in the offseason last year, and regardless of what's happening right now down in Atlanta, James Pierce delivered. He was my pick to click, and he clicked every single week. And you knew you were going to get consistency out of him, and you knew you were going to get consistency out of everybody else on that defensive line.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing, too, now that you mentioned the front seven, William Inge has very quickly become my second favorite position coach on this staff. He might even be my favorite now because obviously you can't go wrong with a Rodney Garner defensive line. But you listen to him in press conferences, easily one of the most fun coaches to hang around. For one, and then two, you look at what he's done on the recruiting trail too. Linebacker was a position at Tennessee in the Heupel era that was not as much of a laughing stock as, say, the defensive back room, but you look at what they had those first few years, it was very limited. Not that Jeremy Banks and Aaron Beasley and Keenan Peely, when healthy, were not good players. They just didn't have much behind them. Well, William Inge has gone out and gotten 6 4-star recruits in the linebacker room, which is pretty impressive for working with a coach that is, on record as not being a guy defensive coaches want to work with necessarily.
And then jumping back to the offensive side of the ball, you mentioned Miles Kitselman being that breakout player on offense. And, you'd even mentioned, not everybody loves the idea of a tight end becoming that dynamic player for you on offense. However, when you look at some of the tight ends that Tennessee has had in the past, and everybody knows these names, you look at Princeton Fant and look at what he turned into. He basically turned into a three-way player. The guy played quarterback, the guy played running back, fullback, and tight end, and he was absolutely dominant. You could put him in any position, plug and play, and he was going to make something happen. And then another rival of Tennessee, Georgia, you look at Brock Bowers. And I always referred to him when I saw him play against Tennessee, and I'd seen him play a little bit his freshman year, before they played Tennessee. But when he showed up against Tennessee, I'm like, my goodness, that guy is the Dale Earnhardt of tight ends. And then even more guys that played for Tennessee, you look at, we talk about the Derek Dooley years, Michael Rivera, a very underrated player at that time that performed very well, that was a dynamic piece of that offense and was a very vital piece to that offense. Speaking of Georgia, the stiff arm that he threw on his way down the field after Tyler Bray sent the ball screaming across the middle. And then, of course, Jason Witten, who, Tucker, there might be some smoke there with his son. We talk about recruiting a little bit, and it's like, do we get the Witten kid?
There's a possibility. I know there was like 5 schools that On3 put out that he was trending for. One of them was Tennessee, as you can imagine. Obviously, you've got the in-state contenders there because he's from Texas, and Texas is obviously recruiting him hard. But I don't think it's a similar situation to the Mannings where, he's playing the same position. His son's a linebacker.
Right.
So, maybe there's not as much pressure there to go out and succeed. Although, I think he's a 4-star kid in the class of 2027, so they're going to have high expectations of him regardless. But right now, I think you definitely have a shot just because of the lineage, but you are going to have to stave off the Texas schools.
Absolutely. Good stuff. Tucker, thank you so much for hopping on. Tell us where to find you.
I am on X at Tucker Harlan is my @ real simple, capital T, capital H. You can find my work on Vols Wire, mainly cover recruiting there. Do some work with Vols and the pros as well, mainly guys in MLB right now. So that's been pretty fun this season. And then you can check out my podcast, Tennessee Volunteers Live at the Voice of College Football Network. We're on YouTube. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers, so would really, really appreciate it if you guys checked us out there. It's been really fun to do that. We do live shows every Monday night at 8 Eastern Time, talking anything and everything Tennessee football there. So that's where you guys can find me.
Good stuff. Tucker, thank you so much for hopping on, man. We'll talk soon.
Will do, Jake. Thank you for having me on.
That is Tucker Harlan with Vols Wire, making his presence felt here at WLAF. Stay with us. Final segment, hour number 1, coming up right here on WLAF.
Jake Miller Sports Talk is taking your calls and listening to you every Thursday at 6 p.m. over WLAF. Hi, this is former Cougar Jake Miller inviting you to join me for 2 hours talking Tennessee Vols, Campbell County Cougars, and beyond. See you at 6 p.m. on WLAF.
FM 100.9 WLAF.
This is Campbell County head football coach Taylor Ombie on the home of the Cougars, WLAF.
Hey there, it's Jared Meredith from Heart of Grace Ministries. Are you ready for a right now word that will challenge you, stretch your faith, and help you find the next steps to get closer with God? Be sure to tune into our ministry exclusively on WLAF on Saturdays from 2 to 2:30. You'll hear singing, teaching, preaching, and special announcements for upcoming events in your area. I am excited about what God has in store for you.
FM 100.9 WLAF.
It's Chief Jimmy Pack, and you do have to have a burn permit year-round in the city of La Follette. Thanks, WLAF, for all you do for us.
Join us for the WLAF Charlie's Pizza Birthday Club every weekday morning at 7:30. Every Friday morning, Aaron draws one winner from the week's names, and the winner wins delicious pizza from the legendary Charlie's Pizza. Phone your birthdays and anniversaries into us at 423-562-1450.
FM 100.9 WLAF.
Hello, my name is Bailey Ball here from La Follette Mine Supply. Come and see my dad, Billy, for electrical conduit and electrical wire. All dock items like dock flotation, jet ski docks, and boat lifts, and lots more. That's La Follette Mine Supply. Dad, come on in here.
We're open Monday through Friday from 6 a.m. to 5 p.m., Saturday from 6 a.m. to 12 p.m. Turn on Toe String Road by the Walgreens. We're just the third business on the left just before you cross the tracks.
Come see me, Bailey. Come see me, too. Brody Ball. Does anybody need a big sister?
America's best pizza is just right here in Campbell County. People from all over the country travel to Campbell County for Charlie's Pizza. Maybe it's the handmade crust. Maybe it's the fresh ingredients. Or maybe it's just the friendly service and good times. Come see for yourself and find out what makes Charlie's Pizza the best around.
This is Joe Evans from Charlie's Pizza. We've been open since 1976, and we have the best pizza in town, so come down and see us.
This is AM 1450 WLAF, La Follette, Jacksboro, Caryville, Speedway.
Segment, hour number 1, Jake Miller Sports Talk here on WLAF. Tucker Harlan making his presence felt in the last segment. Learned a lot, got to rehash some history, got to go over what exactly we're going through in the recruiting process of some players, what we're going through as far as NIL in regards to a couple of players. And, that's just a fluid situation. Like I talked about with Tucker, nothing is ever, stagnant in a situation like that. You're always going to have players that want more money. You're always going to have players that are going to want to go whoever's offering them the most money. That's where they're going to be. That's essentially what's happened at a few places. And, we'll call it like it is. That's how, Tennessee got Dalton Knecht in basketball. That's how we're getting some of these guys to come in. It's like, is it good to play for Rick Barnes? Is it good to play for Josh Heupel? Is it good to play for Tony Vitello? Absolutely. Absolutely. And there might be more reasons other than money as to why people are coming in. But we have to believe that money is the driving factor. You relate it to the everyday world, and you ask a normal person, okay, this person is offering me, X amount of money per year to come and work for them. Okay. Well, I can make 20% more at this place. Where are you going to go? You're going to go to the place that's paying you more money. And that's what's happening in college football. Now, when you look at the recruiting aspect, of course, it's not supposed to be pay for play. But that's what it's turned into. And, we'll get there to where it's like, okay, we finally got level footing, and that might be 10 years down the road. It might be 20 years down the road. I might not even be here by the time it gets figured out. However, there are so many things that you have to take into account when you're looking at stuff like this. And hopefully we don't see it trickle down into the high school game too much. I know we see it from time to time. There was the, why did Walter Nolan transfer from a school out in Memphis to Powell High School, in Knox County? Why did that happen? We're probably never going to get a real answer as to why that happened. However, we know that, a lot of things happen in high school sports because everyone's wanting to get the best players. Everybody's wanting to get the best talent that they can get in order to make their team successful. That's just how this goes, unfortunately. And college football, it's going to be worse. I think someone had made an offer to Marvin Harrison Jr. at Ohio State. It was something ridiculous. Clayton, I believe it was to the tune of about $28 million to come back for his senior year. And that is just absolutely ridiculous. Probably more than he would make on his first NFL contract.
That's crazy. Like we had talked before you came on the air, like NIL and precedent, is a good thing. If the Voss Shop wants to sell a Joey Aguilar jersey, Joey should make some of that money. I mean, if you want to be in the new college football game, you should get a little share of that because, I mean, they're putting in the work. I mean, they're basically doing a full-time job along with school. But you lose the college sports aspect of it if you start paying these kids $20, $25, $28 million. It basically turns into semi-pro in a way.
I mean, that's essentially what happens. You start looking, it's like, okay, well, how much is he making to play college football? A lot more money than I make at my day job.
Yeah.
I will say that. And, you know, Charles Barkley, I think, is the best, you know, ambassador when it comes to this because he will flat out tell you that he gets paid a lot of money, or he got paid a lot of money to play, quote unquote, a stupid game. And he gets paid still to talk about that same stupid game. And he's one of these guys, you know, he flat out tells you, he's like, I've never had a real job. I have got to play basketball and talk about basketball my entire life. And I think that's why Charles really gets a lot of fans is, you know, unless you're in San Antonio, of course. But, you know, that's another topic for another day and probably not on the air. But, you know, at the same time, you look at, you know, Charles and he's honest about it. And you never have to wonder if anything that he says is authentic. You never have to wonder if he's being told what to say and when to say it because Charles is just going to be Charles.
Yeah, that whole show, the Inside the NBA, they definitely weren't being told what to say.
No.
No, they controlled that show.
They controlled that show. And, I mean, honestly, you can thank them for changing the way that a lot of people talk about sports.
Exactly.
In a way, you know, I like to say that I model myself off of Ernie Johnson, you know, being able to pass the ball off. It's like, yeah, I'll, you know, keep the ship in the right direction. You know, I'm going to be detailed in what I share, but, you know, also the people around me, you know, make a huge difference in how the show goes. And that's why we're going to open up the phone lines to you, 423-562-1450. When we return, we're going to take some of your calls. We're going to get into that, and we are going to have some fun in this second hour. This is Jake Miller Sports Talk right here on WLAF.
Jake Miller Sports Talk is taking your calls and listening to you every Thursday at 6 p.m. over WLAF. Hi, this is former Cougar Jake Miller inviting you to join me for 2 hours talking Tennessee Vols, Campbell County Cougars, and beyond. See you at 6 p.m. on WLAF.
FM 100.9 WLAF.
This is Campbell County head football coach Taylor Ombie on the home of the Cougars, WLAF.
Join us for the WLAF Charlie's Pizza Birthday Club every weekday morning at 7:30. Every Friday morning, Aaron draws one winner from the week's names, and the winner wins delicious pizza from the legendary Charlie's Pizza. Phone your birthdays and anniversaries into us at 423-562-1450.
FM 100.9 WLAF.
America's best pizza is just right here in Campbell County. People from all over the country travel to Campbell County for Charlie's Pizza. Maybe it's the handmade crust. Maybe it's the fresh ingredients. Or maybe it's just the friendly service and good times. Come see for yourself and find out what makes Charlie's Pizza the best around.
This is Joe Evans from Charlie's Pizza. We've been open since 1976, and we have the best pizza in town, so come down and see us.
Cougar fans, this is head coach Taylor Ombie, and we're counting down to kickoff for the 2025 football season. We'll open up on Friday, August 22nd at Lenoir City. We hope to see you at the game, but if not, catch all the action right over here on WLAF.
Your WLAF Quickcast. Expect a low of 70 by early Friday. The sunrise is 6:43 with partly sunny day ahead on Friday. Expect a high of 85 with a limited chance of scattered showers and storms. Friday begins a trend of not so high highs. Mostly cloudy Friday night with a low of 68. Saturday and Sunday will be a lot alike with highs of 82 Saturday and 80 on Sunday. We'll see sunshine but mostly cloudy skies. The threat of showers and storms lingers throughout the weekend, and nighttime lows will drop to the mid-60s. Meteorologist Jonah Brassfield inviting you to join Aaron Hopkins on the Trading Post, weekday mornings at 8 over WLAF.
Cougar fans, stay tuned here to WLAF.
I know you're inside, you're feeling so hollow.
This is the home team, AM 1450.
Take a lively companion wherever you go. Take a portable radio.
WLAF, La Follette.
WLAF, broadcasting from the Truly Nolan studio. Truly Nolan, voted Campbell County's best pest control, termite, and wildlife company.
This is AM 1450 and FM 100.9. WLAF La Follette, the home of American Top 40, the 70s with Casey Kasem.
This is 1450 WLAF.
FM translator W230DC.
And FM translator W265BQ, La Follette, Tennessee, USA. Where it's now time for CBS Radio News, a presentation of Community Trust Bank, building communities built on trust.
Member FDIC. Severe weather in the mid-Atlantic states.
The total rain out of this storm in some areas could be 6 or even 8 inches.
Killing of an Arkansas couple.
It appears to be a completely random event.
Tariff countdown.
All we want is fairness for our country.
This is the CBS World News Roundup Late Edition. I'm Jennifer Kuiper. On the East Coast, relentless rain prompts flash flood watches and warnings along the I-95 corridor from Maryland to New York. CBS News Philadelphia meteorologist Bill Kelly.
We're going to see more flash flood warnings. Almost every single place that has gotten rainfall, we've got a flash flood warning for that potential for either flooding to happen or it's already ongoing.
CBS News meteorologist David Parkinson.
There's also wind associated with this. We've seen 60 to 70 mile an hour wind gusts. We've seen a water spout in the Baltimore area, and we've seen a tornado warning in New Jersey. I would expect to see at least a couple more severe cells on top of the flooding rain and the lightning that we're going to be seeing over the next several hours.
During hearings in Kerrville, Texas, the epicenter of the deadly Guadalupe River flooding, state lawmakers have heard from Kerr County Emergency Management Director William Dub Thomas. He says he was on sick leave and slept through the crisis.
I stayed in bed throughout July the 3rd and did not participate in the regularly scheduled 10 a.m. and 3 p.m. Texas Emergency Management Coordination Center coordination calls.
Some residents also told lawmakers that no one came for them. Police in Arkansas are trying to determine a motive for the killing of a married couple on a hiking trail over the weekend.
State Police Colonel Mike Hagar said evidence points to 28-year-old schoolteacher Andrew McCann as the person who killed Clinton Brink and his wife Kristen Brink.
Our suspect's DNA has been a positive match.
Hagar said McCann has confessed 2 of the couple's 3 daughters, ages 7 and 9, were with their parents at the time, but were not hurt and are being cared for by family members. Christopher Cruz, CBS News.
Tomorrow is President Trump's deadline for tariffs to go into effect for nations that have not struck a deal with the U.S. except Mexico, which has been given another 90 days. Trump says it may be hard to strike a deal with Canada after it has said that it might recognize a Palestinian state.
Well, they have to pay a fair rate. That's all. It's very simple.
CBS's Willie James Inman.
The president continues to be engaged with world leaders who continue to call and press him for potential deals, because remember, those letters the president has said were essentially the deals, but the countries in question here, a lot of them are seeking to perhaps get a discount on those tariff rates that the president has set.
Stocks fell on Wall Street. Now this.
Hour number 2 of Jake Miller Sports Talk right here on WLAF 100.9 FM, AM 1440 or 1450. Excuse me, man. I still got to get used to it, Clayton. It's my first day, man. Come on now. We're gonna get there. We're gonna get there eventually. We're gonna open up the phone lines to you 423-562-1450. And before I let this guy on, Clayton, I wanted to give you a little bit of a rundown on this next caller. So this guy actually called my first ever show that I hosted. He promised me, he's like, I'm going to be the first guy that you talk to. He's like, I'm going to be the guy that is going to be the first to call in, and we are about to talk to him. If I can remember how to do this, we're going to get on here and we're going to talk to one of my favorite people the mayor of South Knoxville. Phil is up first. What do you say, Philly?
What do you say, Jake the Snake?
Billy!
How you doing?
Buddy, we are living the dream. Up here in God's country, eating Charlie's Pizza every day, doing what we do.
Well, it'd be kind of a good drive for me to get a Charlie's Pizza, but sounds like a good place, don't it?
Phil, I mean, what you could do is you could take you and everybody else in your crew, and you can come on up here to Charlie's Pizza, and I'll even buy it. How about that?
Really?
We'll get you a Charlie's special. We'll get you some cheese sticks. Clayton, what else we got over there? We got some cinnamon sticks that are really good.
Oh, yeah. Salad bar, unmatched. Unmatched.
Oh, we don't go to the salad bar.
Well, I have to get me in the tank. Come up there and see you sometime, Jake.
I would love that. I would absolutely love for you and everybody over at the tank to come over and see us.
I ain't been up there to Follett since I beat them in high school way back in the day when there was a Follett High School.
Back when it was La Follette High School. You realize that's before my mother was even born.
Pre-1975.
That's how old I am, Jake.
Well, I mean, Phil, from what I heard, you could play some ball back in the day.
Well, I pretended to play ball. You know what I mean? I can't even hardly walk now, but that's another story.
You're still getting around pretty good, Phil. I saw you a few weeks ago.
Yeah. Well, it's funny you're talking about this Boo Carter thing. It's kind of comical in a way, ain't it?
I mean, Phil, we it's almost like some guy predicted this would happen, a couple of years ago when all this dropped.
Yeah, well, I mean, I go back to really Tennessee football hadn't been the same since Jeremy Banks and South Carolina game, has it?
It's that was kind of a turning point. We talked about the turning point for Butch Jones. When it picked up that little bit of steam midway through 2015, then it died off after the South Carolina game in 2016 after we lost that game. And it's almost as if like something got taken away, like someone had like a come to Jesus moment, but it wasn't anything that really just excelled Tennessee beyond anything that we have seen. Yeah, I mean, we beat Alabama, yes. We beat Florida again, yes. But should we have played Florida this past year as close as we did? Absolutely not. We should have beat the brakes off of them, and we didn't do it. Alabama, it's a rivalry game. And, Florida is a rivalry game, yes. And, Phil, I've always said, if you're one of these people, you like throw some money on these games, you do not bet on rivalry games. You just do not do it.
No, you don't. Not with Alabama or Florida. I mean,
it's like
you're going to lose a lot of money if you bet for Tennessee.
Well, it's like I've always said, we talk about the Iron Bowl, for example. You don't put anything on that because you know that weird stuff just happens in that game, especially if the game is at Jordan-Hare Stadium.
4th and 32.
Well, if you were running Tennessee's football program, would you have spent the money and kept Nico, or would you be going through what we're going through now?
Would it have been worth it to keep him? I mean, I know that we went 10-2 last year. We got to the college football playoff. But was that because of Nico?
But do you think that I see where we got a real big commitment today from the receiver from Utah?
That we did. That's going to be a big focal point in this recruiting class. And, at least we're staying consistent in that. I will say that Josh and company have done a really good job of at least being consistent with the recruiting. That's something that we didn't see for a while. Everyone always wanted to talk about, Phil, how, Butch Jones, had these, top 10, top 15 classes. But then you look at it from another perspective. It's like, yeah, that might be good. It's, number 11, number 12, in the country out of 130 some odd schools. But then you take a step back. It's like, okay, well, where do we sit in conference? And then you look at that and it's like, well, you're middle to back half of the pack. And it's like, okay, well, that's how we're going to finish the season. And that reigned to be true more times than not during those years.
Yeah. Well, I hope they have a good year this year. I think the defense will be okay, but I'm not sure about the offense. I mean, you got a lot of question marks. The offensive line could be better, but the receiving corps, question mark, running back's a question mark, and, of course, quarterback's the big question mark.
And it's so weird, we talk about the running backs, and that's been such a focal point of this team. And even when we had, like, Jabari Small on the team, for example, all the attention was going to Hendon Hooker and Joe Milton. However, a lot of people forget that Tennessee was actually a run-first team. during that time. And the running backs did a lot of the work. We just saw the flashiness of Hendon Hooker, Jalen Hyatt, Brew McCoy, and guys like that. That's what we were focused on because that's where the attention went. It's, kind of like marketing. For example, if you have a wrestler that is marketable, you're going to pay attention to him because he's marketable, not the guy that actually knows what he's doing in the ring, just the guy that's going to make you the most money.
Before I get out there, Jacob, what do you think about Nate Ament? You think he's going to be the real deal?
That I am very excited for. Hopefully I'm more right about that than I was my favorite guy, JP Estrella.
Well, if he could, they're saying he's on the verge of being all right, but he's injury prone. He's got a bad foot or whatever it is. Sometimes big men, they continually have problems with their feet.
And, the thing with JP, too, that really stood out to me is the fact, you look at the Purdue game in the Elite Eight, and, we have to pull Jonas Adu because he's checked out at this point. He doesn't even want to be here. And then you have Tobe Awaka that goes in, fouls out, and then JP Estrella just does the best that he can with Zach Edey, who was getting every call that he could ever imagine, and really just, honing in on, what he does best, and that's camping out. And JP Estrella did the best that he could and threw down a monstrous dunk against Purdue. And I hope to see that again. But, at least, Phil, I'll say this about Barnes. I know that I've been very critical of him in the past, but, the recruiting aspect and how he's recruiting, has gotten better in the past couple of years compared to what it had been.
Because, yeah, it has. I agree with you.
And, you not go back on this, when he brought in, B.J. Edwards, when he brought in N.J. Tamba, you look at the situation with BJ and it's like, are we really maximizing the potential here? Are we really doing it? And then he goes off to SMU, and I think he actually ended up making more money at SMU than what he did here. And then I just, the whole deal with Tamba, I really didn't like that because why would you have somebody reclass, skip their last year of high school that they really needed to redshirt them and then to tell them the next year to transfer out? It's like that guy just lost a year of eligibility that he's not going to get back. And now he's, at Weber State, obviously. But, I guess it's worked out for him.
He's at St. John's now, Jake.
Tamba is?
Yeah, Patino signed him.
Oh, man.
Tamba's at St. John's. And BJ's down there at SMU making $1 million a year.
Wouldn't it be nice to make $1 million a year?
They got that old money. They can pay that money down there.
Hey, SMU can do it now, Phil, and they don't have to worry about the NCAA coming down and hammering them and killing the program for the next 20 years.
It's interesting, though, because back in high school, B.J. Edwards owned Gillespie, and now Gillespie's Tennessee's Point Wire, and B.J.'s down at SMU. It's amazing how things turn around all these years,
And when I was talking with my good friend Adam Hickman, he was talking about a game in which I think it was B.J. Edwards versus Kennedy Chandler in like an AAU game or one of the games on the Nike circuit, the Under Armour circuit, whatever it may have been. And he said that B.J. handled Kennedy Chandler.
Yeah, the state championship game.
It was the state championship.
They beat Kennedy Chandler for the state championship when B.J. was a sophomore.
Man, isn't that something?
Well, both those guys are good players. Kennedy Chandler, if they had NIL, he would have stayed here in about 3 years because he's definitely never going to play in the NBA.
No, but in his case, he can go make the money at SMU while he can, and then
he got to. But I'll be smart about it. Yeah.
And then, of course, you just hope, and we talked about the negative effects of NIL, and the biggest one I haven't even touched on yet is you just hope that these guys are smart enough with that money to where they don't blow it all as soon as they get it, because I think that's happening more so than it's not at this point.
So what days are y'all got your show, Jake?
We're just going to be on Thursdays for now. We're
Thursdays for now?
I'm a little rusty, Phil. I got to, get in here with an angle grinder and, just grind off the rust, make it smooth again, and get back in that nice rhythm.
Yeah, but you got the voice for radio. You got the genes from radio from your old Ken Hatfield. It's but you're a great guy and a great host, and let's do some good radio. See you.
Absolutely. Appreciate the phone call, Philly. Man, Clayton, I get the call in from Phil, before we go on air for the top of the hour, and everything, it's like, all the rust just kind of just went to the floor. It's like, when Phil calls in, it's like, okay, we got to turn it on.
This is bad. This is what I'm used to, kind of thing.
Yeah, this is what I'm used to. I'm used to Phil. And one of my favorite things about Phil when he would, call me, he would be like, well, I mean, you got to look at Tennessee basketball recruiting information, and, we're going to talk about BJ, and we're going to talk about Tomba. Somebody get a hold of Martin, Miss Martin.
Don't believe in no Martin.
Oh, I'll tell you about Martin during the break.
Okay.
I'll tell you about Martin during the break. We got a little bit more to get to before that. I had the chance today, actually, Clayton, to talk with our good friend Coach Owenby down at the high school. And, of course, we got the scrimmage coming up tomorrow.
Yes, we do. Campbell County hosts Seymour. They've not played since the COVID year. Campbell County won that game 34-12. And I think this will just be a good thing. Coach Owenby's talked about this. It's one of those things where you get game experience, but you don't get that win or loss. It gets you time to get things fixed, because Campbell County's first regular season game is not until the 22nd.
Right.
So they have this scrimmage, then they have Knox Central Kentucky coming in the next Friday, and then they go to Carson Newman for a jamboree. So that's 3 prime opportunities to get the gears going again, get real game action without getting a win or a loss, just to get things tweaked and get things fixed, and because you can always find something to improve on. And that's what Coach Owenby was saying. He just loves these type of scrimmages because it lets you fix things that you need to.
Absolutely. And, talking with him today, he and I, were, just kind of getting to know each other. This is the first time I had talked to him and, everything. And we talked about, what are you really looking for in your scrimmage tomorrow against Seymour? And really, it's just figuring things out. It's like, we're going to be running an entirely new offense. We're going to be running, one of the standard defenses, but, at the same time, you almost start with a clean slate. And, one of the things that he emphasized to me, and this is something that, a really good coach can relate to, and this makes me really excited for him, is don't make the players fit the system, make the system fit the players. And that is something that he and I were talking about, and, that gave me a lot of confidence in him. This is the first time I'd talked to him, but, when we were talking, along those lines, I'm looking at this, and it's like, okay, it's like, don't expect, I don't think Campbell County is going to go 10-0.
No.
They're in Coach Owenby's first year, but, there is, a solid foundation built just on those words. Make the system fit the players. Don't make the players fit the system.
Because this is a young team. I mean, we have just a handful of seniors, and they went from a completely different offense last year, like you said, changing offenses, and they have a tough schedule. I mean, it's a district that consists of West, Powell, and Central. I mean, like you said, nobody's expecting Campbell County to go 10-0. I think we will see a improvement in the win column from last year per se, but it seems like the team's really bought into him, and I think we'll see a lot of effort being put out there on the football field on Fridays.
Absolutely, and, we tie this back into college sports a little bit, and, we've talked a lot about Tennessee football history, over the past, 30 years. It's funny, I just turned 30 this past year, and, we talk about, Campbell County situation in which you basically got a clean slate to build, and make it yours, and, build something that this community can really get around, and, I think everybody's excited for that. But, it kind of reminds me, and I know the Derek Dooley years don't get talked about in a positive light. But when you look back at 2010, once Tyler Bray got into the offense, what did you have? You had a
lot of scoring.
You had a freshman in Tyler Bray. You had a freshman in Justin Hunter, a freshman in Dayrick Rogers, very young running backs, a very young offensive line. And everyone wants to say, well, Derek Dooley never recruited an offensive lineman. Well, guess what happened to that entire offensive line in 2012? They all went pro. Guess who else went pro? Cordero Patterson, Justin Hunter, Tyler Bray, even Dayrick Rogers, Marlon Lane, Rajon Neal. They all went pro. Michael Rivera, who we mentioned earlier, they all went pro. And I think this is going to be something, too, that you can relate to Campbell County. It's like, there might not be immediate success, and that's okay. And I was actually telling you before the show, Clayton, growing up, we all know the history with Campbell County sports. Not a lot of success, no playoffs until I think 2004 was when Dwayne Wells took us to the playoffs. And, I think he took us, 1 or 2 times after that. So by the time I got to high school, this school had only seen the playoffs 3 times my entire life. Well, after I graduated high school, I go into the Army Reserve. So I go to basic training at Fort Benning, Georgia. And during this, you're sitting there, I've got a bald head, I've got a bald face, I don't feel like myself, and it's like, okay, guys, you're going to get your phones, and you're going to get them for this amount of time, and then they're going back in the drill sergeant's office. Okay, well, I phone a friend. Call mom, call papa, call mama, make the rounds, and it's like, okay, well, let's see what my buddy Weston's doing. And he's like, dude, the football team is 5-0. I'm like, Tennessee isn't 5-0. He's like, no, Campbell County is 5-0. I'm like, Weston, I've only got 30 minutes on this phone, and you're going to lie to me? He's like, no, I'm serious. So
first win against Oak Ridge in school history since 1975 was that year.
Yeah, I mean, that's just, incredible to think that, that was happening, and I'm not here to see it. I didn't get to see any of it because, I was, gone until December the 19th of that year. But, coming back, and it's like, okay, this can happen at a school like Campbell County. This school can win. It's not impossible. It's all about finding the right fit. And, my friend Christopher Gabriel out at KMJ Fresno in California said this about, and he says it a lot about college sports and how people make these hires, but it's as simple and as hard as making the right hire. Finding a good fit, finding who works well, and somebody who can win. And people want to say, I think I heard this one time. Someone tried to tell me that Butch Jones was a good fit for the first few years. I was like, how is he a good fit for the first few years and then not after that? And they're like, well, because he won. I'm like, yeah, because he won. That's why he was a good fit, because he won. It's like you can say that, John Calipari at Kentucky, is it a good fit? Or was it a good fit? He's not there anymore. He's at Arkansas now. It's like, was that a good fit? Well, yeah, it was a good fit. Why was it? Because he won.
Exactly.
Rick Pitino. Oh, he was a good fit at Kentucky. He was a good fit at Louisville.
He won.
Rick Pitino was not a good fit in Lexington or Louisville, Kentucky.
Especially after he coached at Louisville, and then went, especially that.
And I mean, you can even go as far as saying like Bruce Pearl.
Yeah.
Well, he was a good fit here at Tennessee. How was he a good fit? Like culturally, how was he a good fit? The guy was from the North, and I mean, we can call this like it is. Didn't represent some of the same values that we had around here. Yes, did he cheat? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Who wasn't cheating at the time?
He just got caught.
He just got caught, and what he did is now perfectly legal, and it has been legal really ever since that happened. I mean, we've had a few rules at the University of Tennessee named after some of our coaches. We have the Bruce Pearl barbecue rule, and then we have the Derek Dooley runoff rule, essentially, at this point.
Yeah, it seems like the NCAA always picks on those guys in orange. I don't get it.
Well, now we're the leader of the NIL movement, essentially, in college football and basketball. And, we just got so many things happening all at once, and we're sitting here, trying to figure out where it's going to go. We don't know. But, as far as the direction of Campbell County High School and its football program, I'm very excited about it. I'm excited to get on the sidelines this year, get to learn more about Coach Owenby. One of the things I did learn about Coach is a big fan of food.
I can agree with that.
And that's,
I'm a big fan of food too. I think we all are.
I think we all are. And I was thinking in my mind last week, actually, I'm like, the one thing that you can talk about with anybody and everybody's going to understand is food. I could go, Clayton, how I am, overgrown frat boy that loves sports and loves power tools. If I go,
that's America right there.
That is America.
That's America.
That's
America.
That is. And obviously put on a few pounds since exiting the Army. But I could go to somebody that hates power tools, that hates sports, that's going to sit there and watch movies all day, because I've only seen a handful of movies in my life. I've only seen about 10 movies in my entire life, believe it or not. And we'll never be able to talk about sports. We'll never be able to talk about woodworking. We'll never be able to talk about movies. But we can talk about Charlie's Pizza. We can talk about all that. Just like I did with Phil.
Yeah.
You open it up. Hey, Phil. Hey, you want something good to eat? You come see Jake. That's exactly what you do. But, Clayton, overall, when you look at this season and what it entails, what would you say is a realistic expectation going into the year for Campbell County?
Are we talking wins, losses, or what are we talking here?
Wins, losses.
I would honestly say, if you look at the schedule, I think there are 5 winnable games. Any game's winnable, but I mean, if you look at the schedule right there, you've got 3 straight road games. You got Lenore City. They're with the first-year head coach. You've got Cherokee. They're not traditionally the best program in the world. And then you've got at Carnes.
Rivalry game.
Yes, exactly. Very winnable game. About won the game last year.
I'll tell you a story here in a minute about when we started a fight, actually, after the Carnes game.
Oh, gosh.
My senior year.
Was that in basketball? Or?
Oh, no, this was in football.
We had a big brawl in basketball.
Oh, yeah.
But, I mean, you look there, 3 straight road games. You could say all 3 of those games is winnable. So, I mean, you have the potential there to start 3-0 and welcome Knox Central for your first home game. And this place would be rocking, going crazy. Dossett Stadium would be losing their mind. And then you've got a couple tough home games, Central and West, two big Knox County powerhouses. Then you've got Clinton. That's always a rivalry game. You never know what will happen there. Powell, pretty tough game. I mean, Matt Lowe has built a dynasty over there at Powell. Yeah, I mean, a powerhouse and a half. And then you got Sweetwater, fairly winnable game. Halls, rivalry game, but Halls is Brent Hughes, former Campbell County coach. He's done a phenomenal job down there. And then you've got William Blunt, winnable games. So, I mean, there are plenty of winnable games. It's just, like I said, we don't know. But I would say 5-5 would be a pretty good expectation.
If Coach Omi goes 5-5 in his first year, that is a success.
Oh, exactly.
That is a huge
100%.
success.
He could go 4-6, and I would make the same argument. I mean, it would be a big success after basically a new team. I mean, a lot of sophomores, a lot of freshmen, new system. I mean, to do that well, because like the community appears to back him for the most part. I mean, I love him, and we all do here at the station. If he, like I said, if he were to go 5-5, he would be doing mighty well here in the community.
Right, and I mean, it is a tough job, and we can call this like it is.
Yeah.
It's a tough job. You know the talent pool that you're getting when you come to a school like this, but like we mentioned at the start of the show, or the start of this segment, really, it's more so about making the system fit the players. Don't try to make the players fit the system. Stay with us. More of the Jake Miller Sports Talk Show right here on WLAF.
This is the home team, AM 1450.
Take a lively companion wherever you go. Take a portable radio.
WLAF, La Follette.
It's summertime in Campbell County. The weather is hot, humid, and sunny. Maybe you're enjoying a delicious hot dog or hamburger from the Royal Lunch. Maybe you're spending your evening at one of the boat docks. Maybe you're having a picnic at Cove Lake State Park. Or maybe you're having a fun-filled, action-packed day at Norris Lake. However you spend your summer, be sure to stay connected to WLAF for all the latest news, information, sports, and more. This is WLAF, AMFMTV.com.
Jake Miller Sports Talk is taking your calls and listening to you every Thursday at 6 p.m. over WLAF. Hi, this is former Cougar Jake Miller inviting you to join me for 2 hours of talking Tennessee Vols, Campbell County Cougars, and beyond. See you at 6 p.m. on WLAF.
This is Campbell County head football coach Taylor Ombie on the home of the Cougars, WLAF.
I'm Travis. At Detailed Automotive, we don't just clean cars, we redefine automotive care. With 5 years of trusted service, Detailed Automotive has become the go-to destination for car enthusiasts and everyday drivers alike. Whether you're protecting your vehicle with our premium ceramic coatings, restoring its brilliance with expert paint correction, or rejuvenating the interior to a showroom condition, our attention to detail is unmatched. Join the hundreds of satisfied drivers who have trusted Detailed Automotive to keep their vehicles looking and feeling brand new. At Detailed Automotive, your car isn't just a vehicle, it's a masterpiece. We are conveniently located 3/4 of a mile from the courthouse in Jacksboro, 316 Jacksboro Station Road. I'm Travis. Give me a call today at 423-494-0720.
This is AM 1450 WLAF, La Follette, Jacksboro, Caryville, Speedwell.
We sing happy birthday to you.
It's the WLAF Charlie's Pizza Birthday and Anniversary Club.
And may all your dreams come true. Happy, happy birthday.
Who's celebrating today, Aaron?
This is your birthday song.
Well, undoubtedly, we got some great birthdays going on today. Jim, why don't you fill us in, sir?
Hey, let's do that, Aaron. Last day of July, time to squeeze in those last July birthdays. Tasha Campbell is 52 years young today. Happy birthday, Tasha. Tasha Campbell, enjoy your day, lady. Nicole White celebrated back on Tuesday. And Nicole, let's keep on celebrating, okay? Miss Glenda Huddleston, one of our favorite and most faithful listeners, is celebrating today on this last day of July. Miss Glenda, happy birthday to you, Glenda Huddleston. And Brad Carroll, yeah, he's known as Clayton's dad. Brad Carroll, happy birthday to you, BC, on this 31st of July. And Caden Poston, yeah, Mr. Do-It-All. Caden Poston celebrates today. Hey, Caden, have a great day, buddy. Caden Poston.
I have an anniversary to put on for tomorrow. It's Michelle and Scott Ward.
Do you know how many years?
31.
We will select the birthday dinner winner tomorrow. How about that, Aaron?
Yes, sir. That sounds like a great plan. So call in and get your birthdays in to win on the Charlie's Pizza Drawing.
Aaron and Jim, hold up just 1 second. There is one more birthday I would like to announce for today. Happy birthday wishes go out to Landon Shears. Landon turns 11 today, so Landon, happy birthday to you. May God bless you, and enjoy the rest of the week, will ya?
Every weekday morning at 7:30. Every Friday morning, Aaron draws one winner from the week's names, and the winner wins delicious pizza from the legendary Charlie's Pizza. Phone your birthdays and anniversaries into us at 423-562-1450. WLAF.
Back here on WLAF, Jake Miller Sports Talk. Somebody has chimed in. They said, I have hit every bingo card, or every square on the bingo card that I could possibly hit. And it's all good. We hit on the Army, my fraternity days, my best friend, and food. There you go. I mean, that is about as Jake Miller as you can get. Appreciate you guys listening.
Yeah, I'm glad to, and if you want to come on Talk Sports, 423-562-1450.
Absolutely. And we're going to take you into the water cooler here for a second. So, Clayton, could you imagine you go on this date, right, and a woman shows up with, I kid you not, 711 golf tees in her hair?
What?
This apparently happened in California.
Of course.
California woman who loves golfing broke an unusual Guinness World Record by putting 711 tees into her hair. I'm not even going to try to pronounce this name. 45 years old, earned the title for the most golf tees in the hair when her friend spent 47 minutes helping her fill her locks with the small wooden pegs. Says, I've always dreamed of being in the Guinness Book of World Records. That's totally been a dream of mine. I wanted to create something around the world and thought this would be a great idea. She said her record was inspired by a serial record breaker with multiple titles for putting objects into his beard.
Okay.
How would you feel, Clayton?
There would not be a second date. I think we can...
Are you sure?
Well, that is true. I would be very confused. It'd be very intriguing. I mean, that might tell something about the person. It might be adventurous, or they might be crazy. I don't know.
Well,
there's two ways to frame that.
Well, you see, I'm thinking of it from the perspective of, you already spend a lot of money on clubs. You
True.
spend a lot of money to play. You spend a lot of money on golf balls. But what's the second most aggravating thing that you absolutely need to have?
A tee.
You need to have a tee.
She's got you covered.
And guess what? You're thinking of everything else when you go to the course, except, oh man, I forgot to buy tees before I came here. Now I got to go to the clubhouse and buy some. But if that's your date, you're covered.
Yeah, you're golden.
It doesn't matter how many mulligans you want. You're never going to be able to swing the club enough to actually top that. That is 711 tees in your hair.
Does she have long hair? Or is there a picture there?
It honestly just looks like a really, like a golf afro.
So I can't see the picture. The laptop is not facing me. I'm going to take a guess, and you can tell me if I'm right or wrong. This individual is blonde.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. And we do have another world record that has been set. A giant baseball with 6,750 signatures has broken the world record. And I'll let you see this one, Clayton. This one's actually kind of, it's like, yeah, you could fit that many signatures onto that. That is a massive, massive baseball.
I'm going to take a wild guess, say that's worth a pretty penny there.
Yeah, I mean, if anything, I would not want to move that.
Yeah.
So this is not just a normal baseball, in case you're wondering. This is essentially like, imagine The Rock at Campbell County High School, quadruple that, and that's what you're getting. That's how big this baseball is. They're just calling it a baseball because it is in the shape of a baseball. It has the threads. It has actually the minor league baseball logo on it, not even the major league. So this one is out of Indianapolis Indians. Yeah. 8 foot in diameter. Yeah. June the 24th is when it started its journey, and they just broke the world record. 6,750 signatures.
That's a lot of signatures in a pretty short amount of time.
You want to take a guess at what the previous record was?
So what's the current record again? 6,000?
6,750.
The previous record?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to guess it's pretty low.
Still 4 digits.
Okay. 3,000?
Close.
3,500?
Down.
2,700.
2,146.
Okay.
That was set by Cambridge United Football Club last year when it gathered fans to sign a giant inflatable jersey.
Huh. The baseball's cooler.
The baseball is cooler.
Yeah. Because that's permanent, I guess. I would hope so.
Oh, I would say so. I mean, I'm not trying to move an 8-foot baseball.
Yeah. No.
I don't think anybody's trying to move an 8-foot baseball. That would be absolutely terrible. Could you imagine the equipment you would have to get in order to make that happen? That would be terrible.
Yeah, and then you'd have the one guy, no, it's good on my side. Oh, never mind. And the ball just rolls off and falls off a bridge somewhere, and you just lose that.
Could you imagine going for, like, obviously we see foul balls all the time. You go to a Smokies game.
Go for that one.
Imagine, like, in between, the concourse and the outside of the old Smoky Stadium, up in Kodak.
The GOAT.
Could you imagine taking a bump and going to get one of those baseballs?
Oh, gosh. Yeah.
Which brings me to a point. We talk about, sports, and, I'm all about fans having an opinion. I'm all about fans being able to voice their opinion, because that's, mainly what got me into this mindset of how I run my show. However, Clayton, a video popped up on my TikTok feed. It was actually on my lunch today, and I think you know exactly where I'm going with this. The most annoying baseball fan in the world.
Oh, gosh. Are we referring to the Vanderbilt Whistler?
He is the second.
Okay.
So, have you ever heard of Zach Hampel?
Yes.
So for those of you that don't know who Zach Hampel is, this guy, you imagine the guy that is sitting there and your kid is about to catch their first home run ball or their first foul ball. They're about to get it. Well, guess what? Here comes 40-year-old Zach Hampel.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, and I've had people tell me before, they'll be like, well, just leave the guy alone. Just leave him alone. Leave him alone. No. The reason I have such an issue with this is, number one, that might be the only game that kid gets to go to all year. Maybe his entire life. You never know. And that's one of the issues I have. Another one I had, did you hear about what happened at the Fort Bragg game?
I did not.
So that game was specifically meant for active duty U.S. military. It's at Fort Bragg, so most of the audience was going to be either Army or Air Force because there's both branches that are right there. Well, Zach Hampel somehow gets a ticket.
Oh, of course he does.
Mm-hmm. And you got players now that are fighting back at him essentially because he'll ask like before the game. They're going through warm-ups, doing batting practice. And he's even asked guys that are 10 years younger than him, 13 years younger than him, hey, can I have that ball? Can I have that ball? And finally, one of them looked at him and was like, dude, you literally have 100,000 of them. Please
Exactly.
stop asking me for a ball.
He changes the hat, too, depending on what team's out there.
Right. He seems like the type of guy, honestly. Have you ever seen somebody that just wears a hat or a shirt that just says NFL?
Oh, God.
It's like, who's your team? How'd your team do last year? We won.
Yeah.
That's essentially what that is. It's like, oh, man, we won. Oh, my goodness. Sounds like we got some calls coming in here. We're very excited to talk to you. And we are going to take our final break here in just a few moments. What we're going to do in this last segment, folks, we're going to open up the phone lines. If you want to call in, 423-562-1450 is going to be your number to get on the Jake Miller Sports Talk Show. We're going to be live every Thursday here at WLAF from 6 to 8, and we're going to make this caller friendly. Clayton, one of the things that I have, preached about, really since Jim and I brought this idea up back in early June was we want it to be caller friendly. We want the community to get involved. It's not, yes, my name is on the show. It's Jake Miller Sports Talk. We know that, and we know that I'm going to, steer the ship in the right direction, as I mentioned, earlier, trying to mimic Ernie Johnson. But this is also this community show. Like, we want the community to be involved, whether that be, just a longtime listener of mine, a new listener of mine, or, business owners, welcome. We want to hear from you. We want to hear from everybody here at the Jake Miller Sports Talk Show.
Speaking of, I believe you got a call over there.
Oh, boy. Who do we have here? There is no telling who has called in to the Jake Miller Sports Talk Show. Go ahead, caller.
Jake.
Hey.
Hey, brother. This is the guy that's been texting you for the last couple of days, waiting to hear your ass on the radio.
Oh, come on now. We got to watch what we say. We got to watch what we say.
Hey, I told you, tell him to cut you loose.
They ain't got to cut me all the way loose. We're going to keep it G-rated here.
FCC rules.
I understand, brother.
Oh, I know all about the FCC rules.
It's great to hear you. I have missed the majority of your show. I got a phone call from a Navy buddy that I was in the Navy with back in the early 90s, and wanted to find out, are you going to have a podcast or anything that you all will put your show back out on?
Here, we're actually working on that. We're going to explore a couple of avenues here. You might get to see my face actually here in a couple of weeks. So that means I've got to make sure that my hair's all trimmed up. I got to be looking good.
Well, brother, it's just, I'm glad to hear you. You and Tucker, and it's awesome to hear you guys. And what do you think about the whole booth situation?
Man, it's just one of those deals in which we just got to let it play out. I'm not going to try to spend too much time and energy on it, because at the end of the day, it's all about money. And, I know you've probably heard me say this before. I go back to the movie. I know I said I've not watched too many movies, but you go back to the movie Blue Chips, for example. And at the end of the movie, after Coach Pete Bell is standing there and he says, this is not about education. This is not about winning. It's not about basketball. It's just about money. Just money. And that's what this is all about. Right. That's what it's turned into. And quite frankly, it's the part of college athletics that a lot of people have begun to hate, and it's understandably so, because you never know what you're going to get from year to year. And Clayton, I was thinking about this, a couple days ago. When you really look at what it's turned into, look at AAU basketball.
Oh, gosh.
You have to basically make an entirely new team every year. We're already seeing it with college basketball.
It's horrible.
And now we're seeing it with football, too. And now it's like, what do we do going forward?
Well, that's what me and my buddy were talking about, and my buddy that called me was in the Navy. He's a Michigan fan. He lives up in Detroit. We were talking about it, and it's just, it's horrible. They have ruined college football as far as I'm concerned, because all the players think it's about the money they're making, but they don't realize the money that everybody else is making.
That's the thing. And then you look at it from the perspective of somebody had to pony up that money somewhere. Because it wasn't the school ponying up the money. Somebody that owns a business made the decisions like, hey, we're going to give this guy some money because we think he's going to make an impact here at the University of Tennessee. And all of a sudden, they're sitting there. It's like, well, does this guy not appreciate what we've done for him?
Right. And I have another question for you, and this is not football related. It's the whole NIL related thing.
Okay.
Did you see the letter to the editor of the Knoxville News Sentinel where an 88-year-old man wrote a letter, paid, I can't remember the exact amount, you'd have to look it up, but his price of his season tickets, he has been there since the 60s and donated to the building of Thompson Bowling Arena and all this.
Mm-hmm.
The price of his tickets, 2 season tickets for him and his wife, they were promised for a lifetime, went up 300%.
That is
300%.
That is, I think disgusting is probably the best word to use. And,
exactly. This is ridiculous. It's all a money grab. Everything today is a money grab as far as college, NFL, everything.
Oh, take it a step further. Let's go beyond sports. It's a money grab to go to the grocery store. We're already having trouble.
Oh, I know.
A lot of people are, going to the grocery store. It's like, okay, well, do I get this brand or do I just skip this?
I understand what you're saying. I wasn't going to bring that into it, but, talking about sports and everything.
Yeah.
But 300% for an 88-year-old man that donated to have Thompson Bowling Arena built, and was promised 2 tickets his lifetime.
That is absolutely
That's the least you could do for that man.
I mean, give him the tickets. I mean, if he's going to pay to have the building, like what is turned into basically a mini NBA arena, well, we can call that how it is. I wish I could have saw a game at Stokely. Unfortunately, I was, too young to experience that. But I mean, Thompson Bowling Arena, when you compare it to other college basketball venues, there's only a handful that really mimic what it's like to play in an NBA arena, and what should be a recruiting point for Rick Barnes. And I think it's worked out pretty well for him, when he is able to use it. But to pay for the arena, or to at least pay a part of having that arena put up, and to not even get your tickets, that's appalling.
Well, brother, I want to tell you, it's great hearing you on the radio. Get that station to start streaming and get them to do a podcast and everything else.
And we will make it happen. We appreciate the phone call, brother. Stay with us. Final segment of the program. When we return, you are listening to Jake Miller Sports Talk right here on WLAF.
Jake Miller Sports Talk is taking your calls and listening to you every Thursday at 6 p.m. over WLAF. Hi, this is former Cougar Jake Miller inviting you to join me for 2 hours of talking Tennessee Vols, Campbell County Cougars, and beyond. See you at 6 p.m. on WLAF.
FM 100.9 WLAF.
Carson's working with you now.
Oh, I thought his name was Claxton.
Charleston, that's his name, ain't it?
No. No, it is not.
Is it Charlie?
His name was Tommy.
Hey, tune in Saturday mornings for Carlson. Carlson?
I believe his name's Cornelius or something like that.
I thought his name was Charles.
I think his name's Bershaw.
I always called him Tommy.
I thought his name was Clinton.
Pretty sure it's Clifford Clayton.
It's not even worth trying to correct it anymore. My real name is Clayton Carroll, and I'll be taking your song requests on Saturday mornings from 7 until 9 a.m. right here on the old radio station, WLAF.
Clayton.
Your WLAF Quickcast. Expect a low of 70 by early Friday. The sunrise is 6:43 with partly sunny day ahead on Friday. Expect a high of 85 with a limited chance of scattered showers and storms. Friday begins a trend of not so high highs. Mostly cloudy Friday night with a low of 68. Saturday and Sunday will be a lot alike with highs of 82 Saturday and 80 on Sunday. We'll see sunshine but mostly cloudy skies. The threat of showers and storms lingers throughout the weekend, and nighttime lows will drop to the mid-60s. Meteorologist Jonah Brassfield inviting you to join Aaron Hopkins on the Trading Post, weekday mornings at 8 over WLAF.
Don't touch that dial, don't change the channel on your TV remote, and don't close the tab on your phone. You're listening to WLAF, AM, FM, TV, and .com.
America's best pizza is just right here in Campbell County. People from all over the country travel to Campbell County for Charlie's Pizza. Maybe it's the handmade crust. Maybe it's the fresh ingredients. Or maybe it's just the friendly service and good times. Come see for yourself and find out what makes Charlie's Pizza the best around.
This is Joe Evans from Charlie's Pizza. We've been open since 1976. And we have the best pizza in town, so come down and see us.
Scott says, remember, it's guaranteed. Lindsay's has the lowest price on Benjamin Moore paint anywhere in Campbell County. Whether you come in the front door or the back door at Lindsay's Carpet and Paint Center, you'll walk out with Benjamin Moore paint for just $19.95 a gallon.
This is Scott Lindsay with Lindsay's Carpet and Paint.
Scott Lindsay and the folks at Lindsay's Carpet and Paint Center say that right now is the best time to quickly and economically update your home because Benjamin Moore paint is on sale. Benjamin Moore paint starts at $19.95 a gallon at Lindsay's Carpet and Paint Center since 1974. Lindsay's Carpet and Paint Center on East Central Avenue in the heart of downtown LaFollette, right there between stoplights 7 and 8.
Come see us today.
Since 1974, Lindsay's Carpet and Paint Center.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Eagle has landed. The new Eagle zero-turn mowers from Dixie Chopper pack power and productivity with deck sizes from 54 inches up to 72 inches and engines up to 40 horsepower. Stop by your local Dixie Chopper dealer to test drive the new Eagle today and take advantage of 0% financing for 48 months and bumper-to-bumper warranties up to 3 years. Visit Cumberland Equipment Rentals on the 4-lane across from the old IGA.
Call on the businesses, services, and merchants of Woodson Mall. It benefits us all.
Country Closet, the Tonova South Medical Clinic, Hair Crafters,
When you shop local at Woodson Mall, our community benefits.
Here are the hours at Terry's Pharmacy, La Follette. Monday through Friday, 8 to 6, Saturdays 9 to 1. At the Jacksboro Terry's Pharmacy, open Monday through Friday, 8 to 6, closed on Saturdays.
Hello, this is Raywin from Terry's Pharmacy. We offer pneumonia shots, flu shots, B12 shots, tetanus, whooping cough, and Zostavax shots. No prescription needed. Are you diabetic? Did you know Medicare will pay for one pair of shoes a year? Give us a call at Terry's Pharmacy. Do you need diabetic supplies? We bill all major insurances. Come on by and see us.
Walk in, drive up, or we'll see you at the front door for free delivery. And our Terry's Pill Car. No matter where you are in Campbell County, you're liable to see us on deliveries. Just honk and wave.
The Terry's Pharmacy delivers countywide. And here's a reminder from Terry's Pharmacy, both locations. TennCare families are now able to receive free diapers for their children. TennCare and Covered Kids members under the age of 2 are now eligible to receive up to 100 diapers a month. And you can pick up those diapers at Terry's Pharmacy, La Follette, and Jacksboro.
Jake Miller Sports Talk is taking your calls and listening to you every Thursday at 6 p.m. over WLAF. Hi, this is former Cougar Jake Miller inviting you to join me for 2 hours of talking Tennessee Vols, Campbell County Cougars, and beyond. See you at 6 p.m. on WLAF.
FM 100.9 WLAF.
The bad boys of wrestling, testing competition, win the war, that's their mission. Not no mercy.
Final segment of the program. Jake Miller, Clayton Carroll, Jake Miller Sports Talk. We've got about 5 or 6 more minutes. We're going to be on the air. And Clayton, you had brought something up to me that, I've seen it happen before, but not to the degree in which you saw it. Explain to us what happened in this doubleheader.
So this past week, it was the Orioles and Blue Jays. I believe they were playing in Toronto.
Right.
Relief pitcher for the Orioles, Sir Anthony Dominguez, gets traded. Okay.
Normal.
Get traded.
Trades happen.
Yeah. He got traded to the Blue Jays in between the doubleheader. So Mr. Dominguez literally leaves the Orioles clubhouse, walks in the concourse, goes to the Blue Jays clubhouse. In between the doubleheader.
Was he in street clothes, or did they have a uniform for him?
I don't. And he played for the Blue Jays that night.
So they had a uniform ready.
Yeah. Traded in between the doubleheader to the team that they are playing, and he just literally walks halfway across the stadium for his new team.
And do the Blue Jays, do they wear their names on the back of their uniforms?
Yeah.
So did they already have it ready for him, or did he just walk out in a blank jersey?
Now that I don't know.
Because I'm going to ask you a trick question here.
Okay.
Michael Jordan wore 4 numbers in his basketball career. Can you tell me what those were?
I know 23.
Yep.
I don't know if I can tell you the other 3.
So when he came out of retirement the first time back in 95, he wore number 45.
Oh.
And that was in honor of his dad, and that was the number that he had wore when he went to play baseball for the Birmingham Barons. During the Olympics, he wore number 9, and when he came back for the Wizards, he also wore number 23. There's a weird story in which Michael Jordan, they're getting ready to play, I'm not really sure who it was, but they go to look for Michael's jersey. It's gone.
Oh.
They can't find his jersey anywhere. Turns out a fan had stolen it. So now they're just like, okay, what do we do? This is your size. You're going to be number 12 tonight.
Really?
So if you ever see, if you're on, one of these sports shops and you see just a random Chicago Bulls number 12 jersey, that's not a jersey from, a player from the 50s or whatever, because they didn't really retire any jerseys for the Chicago Bulls until Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, Dennis Rodman, and so on. But that's why that jersey is there, is because there was one year in which somebody had stolen Michael Jordan's jersey and he had to wear number 12 for one game.
Wow. I did not know that.
It's just there's a couple of instances now there's extra jerseys laying around all over the place.
Oh, yeah.
But back in the day when you would get a cut during a basketball game, you would get blood on your jersey. The jersey has to come off, and I think that's still the rule today.
Yeah.
And then you just got handed a random number. No name, just got a number.
Could we acknowledge, though, how tough it would look if the players could play with the blood on their jersey?
Oh, it would look tough.
That would look nice.
It would look really, really tough. And, it's funny you see that, or you say that, because you look at Tim Tebow against Florida State, and he's got the red on the shoulder pads, and it's like, is that blood? No, that's the field paint that they painted in the rain, and it never dried because it's still raining.
I mean, that looks cool, though. I mean, I think if NBA rule change, who cares about the shortened season? Nobody cares about that. Give us the blood on the jersey. That's what we really want.
You know what I'd love to see make a comeback?
What?
Have you ever heard of a tearaway jersey?
Oh, yes.
And they would keep a stack of like 20 jerseys on the sideline for running backs because you get grabbed. I mean, you're basically wearing, the same type of shirts that you and I are wearing right now. It's like you grab it, guess what? It's going to rip.
Yeah.
You put that on shoulder pads, somebody starts grabbing at it, it's going to rip. I would have hated to have been a defensive player during that time because there was no such thing as, the grab and arm tackle like we see now. That's another thing, we can get into another time.
You can pull their hair, though.
You can pull their hair. You can pull their hair out, and they can still keep going. That has happened on 2 occasions that I know of. Could you imagine?
I can't. Well, for one, I don't have long hair, so that'd be kind of tough. But two, no. Can't imagine that. That would be quite painful.
See, right now I'm imagining a Clayton Carroll with dreads and flowing out the back of the helmet, looking all cool like you're playing NCAA football, and then and the gloves now are much more like, it's better than Stickum.
Oh yeah,
that they used to use back in the day. People accuse Jerry Rice of wearing it, but the gloves that I grew up with were not as good as the ones we have today. Like now, you could throw me a football at 100 miles an hour and I could probably catch it one-handed. Probably not, but just to give an example, it's like you can throw a ball relatively hard to somebody, you can one-hand it if the glove is dry. Imagine getting your dread or just your hair in general just yanked.
I don't want to imagine that. I'm good.
Oh no, the best part is when the reporters are standing next to it. It's like, oh, here's a piece of the evidence. It's like, I would not hold that up. I would not want that guy to see that.
Would you rather prime Ray Lewis truck you or be pulled by the dreads and some come out?
Oh, give me Ray Lewis.
Yeah.
I'd rather be concussed for a week. It's like, I think, who was it? It was iShowSpeed, the YouTuber.
Oh, gosh.
They put him in the Royal Rumble, and they told him, it's like, listen, Braun is going to spear you, and he is going to spear you hard. Braun Breaker played at Kennesaw State. He is also the son of Rick Steiner, who played, I think he might have had an NFL career at some point, but he was a professional wrestler, mainly in WCW and WWF back in the day. Well, Braun played football. Braun knows how to tackle. Braun knows how to spear. iShowSpeed actually got a concussion because he got speared by Braun Breaker in the Royal Rumble.
That man will do about anything for a YouTube video or a Twitch stream. You got to give him props a little bit.
You have to.
Yeah. Interesting guy, but he'll do it. So gotta respect him a little bit for that, I guess.
There's certain things that I would do for a click, but that is
concussion's not high on the list there.
No, but if you were to ask me, would I rather get speared by Ray Lewis or get my hair pulled out?
I'd have to agree with you on that.
Yeah,
because you gotta think, if you get hit by Ray Lewis,
you get to keep your hair.
That and you'll be gone. You'll hit the ground, gone. You won't remember it.
Yeah, exactly. You're not going to remember it. You might wake up in a hospital.
Yeah. I'd rather have that than actually feeling the pain of having my hair pulled out.
Right. At least, at that point, you're going to be able to enjoy life after the concussion.
Yeah.
You can probably immediately enjoy life after you get your hair pulled out.
Yeah.
But then you have to live with the fact that you're going to have a bald spot bigger than John Cena's for the next however long it is. I don't really know how the hair process works.
Yeah, I guarantee, though, every player, those two that you mentioned that have had their dreads pulled out, I'm going to take a wild guess and say they went to the short hair after that. I don't know that for sure, but I would.
Fade is always the best cut in sports.
Yeah, or in general, in my opinion. No.
Absolutely. That is going to wrap it up for us. Clayton, thank you so much for hopping in, man. Look forward to doing it again with you next week.
Yeah, thank you for having me along. I enjoyed it. Hey, we'll get on this bike and ride it again next week.
Absolutely. And as per usual, next week we're going to be taking your calls. We're going to line up some guests for you next week as well. Might try to do 2 guests next week, and we're really looking forward to that. Looking forward to having you guys on with us. That's going to do it for us. This is Jake Miller Sports Talk right here on WLAF.
Jake Miller Sports Talk is taking your calls and listening to you every Thursday at 6 p.m. over WLAF. Hi, this is former Cougar Jake Miller inviting you to join me for 2 hours of talking Tennessee Vols, Campbell County Cougars, and beyond. See you at 6 p.m. on WLAF.
FM 100.9 WLAF.
Carson's working with you now.
Oh, I thought his name was Claxton.
Charleston, that's his name, ain't it?
No. No, it is not.
Is it Charlie?
Thought his name was Tommy.
Hey, tune in Saturday mornings for Carlson. Carlson?
I believe his name's Cornelius or something like that.
I thought his name was Charles.
I think his name's Bershaw.
I always called him Tommy.
I thought his name was Clinton.
Pretty sure it's Clifford Clayton.
You know, it's not even worth trying to correct it anymore. My real name is Clayton Carroll, and I'll be taking your song requests on Saturday mornings from 7 until 9 a.m. right here on the old radio station, WLAF.
Clayton.
This is AM 1450 WLAF, La Follette, Jacksboro, Caryville, Speedwell.
As you know, Casey Kasem has unlocked the American Top 40 Vaults and is replaying original shows from the 70s. This week, Casey takes you back to August 6th, 1977. That's when the Commodores were easy. James Taylor was a handyman, Steve Miller boarded a jet airliner, and Johnny Rivers was swaying to the music. You'll hear those songs and all the top 40 hits from August 6th, 1977, right here on American Top 40, the 70s. Saturday night at 7 on FM 100.9 WLAF.
It's summertime in Campbell County. The weather is hot, humid, and sunny. Maybe you're enjoying a delicious hot dog or hamburger from the Royal Lunch. Maybe you're spending your evening at one of the boat docks. Maybe you're having a picnic at Cove Lake State Park. Or maybe you're having a fun-filled, action-packed day at Norris Lake. However you spend your summer, be sure to stay connected to WLAF for all the latest news, information, sports, and more. This is WLAF, AM, FM, TV.com.